YouTube and Facebook. Let's make sure we are there. Give me 1 second. We are currently at the beach, which is why I am not. Hi, Duke City. We in the fridge. What's up? Hi, all. We will be with you in 1 second here. We are making Italian seafood stew today. Hi, Everest Trekking. We are live from the beach. We are in Cape May, New Jersey, which, okay, we're up on Facebook too. Awesome. Hi, Facebook friends. Okay, let me move back now so you can all see me. Hi, Mom. Deborah, my mom, is on. So we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and we are on Instagram. We are live today from Cape May, New Jersey. Obviously, this is not my kitchen. I am at the beach, only the beach is so cold. It is freezing. So that's why I have my sweater on here. And although stew doesn't seem like a wonderful dish for the beach, it is like 51 degrees and windy outside. So it's actually an excellent choice for our beach day today. So that is what we're making. It's called Italian seafood stew. And it is so simple. I first had this when I was at the beach in Turks and Caicos, and a friend of mine made it for lunch. And it was absolutely phenomenal. It has this great blend of flavors, and it is so easy. And of course, seafood makes you think of the beach and the ocean. So there you go. It is actually a copycat recipe from Mario Batali. He called it the Lifeguard Stew. Lifeguard for beach. See who else? Hi, Aunt Donna. Hi, Cheryl. Glad you guys could be here. So we are going to start off with a large pot. This is, the wonderful aluminum pot that you get from your Airbnb when you're at the beach. So nothing too fancy. I usually use olive oil, but I consolidated when I packed all of my items for the beach, and I've only got vegetable oil today, which will do canola oil, sunflower seed oil, safflower oil. Any of those will be perfectly fine because we're just going to do a quick saute. And I just realized I didn't chop up my garlic yet. So you guys can listen to me while the oil heats and I chop up this garlic. So what we're going to do is we usually use about a half of a white onion or a yellow onion, but I only had red because I was using it for other recipes. I'm sure you guys know when you go to the beach or on vacation, or at least to an Airbnb, which seems to be the way that everybody's traveling these days, you want to pick items for the menu and consolidate ingredients, or at least use them twice. Otherwise, you end up with an entire fridge in your car, which I have to say, I've actually been to the grocery store now. I thought I did a good job packing. I thought I did a good job planning. I've been to the grocery store 3 times, and I haven't even been here for 24 hours. Our Airbnb didn't even have a cutting board or a baking sheet, so I had to run out for that and a colander. And then I realized that I had forgotten a couple of other small items that I did have at my house. You know what? I forgot them again. I was supposed to get French fries, and I forgot to get frozen French fries at the grocery store. I can't win today, guys. Okay, that's another day for another time. We're making hot honey burgers tonight for dinner, and we might end up having something completely different as a side because I keep forgetting things. Okay, so I'm putting in about 3 cloves of garlic, thinly sliced, and I'm using about 1 cup, a really hefty dose of red onion. You can use a sweet onion if you prefer that, but this is Italian, so garlic, onion, measure it with your heart and make it delicious. I'm gonna stir these up real quick. Can't believe I forgot those sweet potato fries. I went all the way to the grocery store this morning just for sweet potato fries. Killing me. Next is pine nuts. Pine nuts are great. They're kind of oily. They're very velvety. And when you toast them, this is about a half a cup, 4 tablespoons-ish. When you toast them, they get this really vibrant taste, and they become just a little bit softer. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Trevor. Hi, Willis. I see you, Willis. And it's one of my favorite things to add to salads, toasted pine nuts. They're great in soups. They're great in stews. You can top them. You don't even need to chop them up, so they're really easy. So we're going to let this go ahead and saute a little bit so that the onion and the garlic gets a little bit soft, but I still want it to be taunt. I still want it to be a little bit toothy, not totally limp and translucent. I usually use a crushed red pepper in this just to add a little bit of heat. Today we're going to be using El Pepo pepper. Can everybody hear me okay? Let me ask that. So I'm on my AirPods, and I forgot to make sure that everybody could hear me. Okay, good. We're all good. Awesome. Okay. I did make myself a grocery list, Darlene. I have made myself so many grocery lists and I get sidetracked and then I can't figure it out. Okay, so we're using Alupo pepper today, which is a little bit more smoky than a crushed red. And I'm going to add it right now while I'm sauteing everything. It's going to infuse into the olive oil to really give flavor throughout and make it more of a sophisticated leveled flavor instead of just one note. We want this to be a multifaceted dish. And I'm also going to go ahead and add some cracks of pepper. I did bring a pepper grinder. You know me and the pre-ground pepper. Kind of tastes like sawdust. So I'm going to give it a few healthy grinds there and stir it up so everything's getting nice and brown. I can really smell the pine nuts. Smell amazing. And the onion is starting to wilt a little bit, which means we're ready for the next bit. So the thing that I love the most about this recipe is that it has unexpected flavor and it also has unexpected texture. The texture, one of them, the pine nuts, the velvety nuts. And then these are going to be raisins, yellow raisins. Yellow raisins. Usually we use a currant, which are little red, they're berries, dried berries. I couldn't find currants. I went to 2 different grocery stores off my grocery list and couldn't find currants. So I decided that the next best thing was going to be these really plump yellow raisins. I'm going to add them in. I didn't want them to start getting mushy. And they're also, since they're dry, they're a little sticky. They add sweet. They're going to balance out the heat from that crushed red pepper in the long run. Okay, so we're going to get those nice and hot. The next thing we're going to add, because this is seafood stew, is, yep, you got it, the seafood. This dish is so versatile. You can change the amounts depending on how many people you're serving and just your preference. I am going to be using scallops and shrimp, and this is about 1 pound. You can do 2 to 3 pounds of seafood if you want. Totally up to you if you want more protein in there. I love this because it keeps it a little bit more economical and budget friendly. I have 6 large shrimp that I cut into bite-sized pieces, and I used 6 large scallops that then I cut into large pieces too. So all in all, I've got a hefty dose of seafood in there, but I didn't break the bank. And I can feed probably about 6 people with just that little amount of seafood. Another favorite is Langoustinos, which are kind of look like crawfish. Or mini lobster tails. You can find them already cooked and shelled and sometimes raw in the frozen food section. So they're great to travel with. You can use bay scallops. So bay scallops are cheaper than large sea scallops. They're harvested from the bay in shallow, warm water. They're the ones that are like this big, and you can usually see them in the grocery store. They're a little bit cheaper than like a larger sea scallop. Those are called sea scallops because they are down lower in the sea in dark, cold water. They're harder to harvest. They're harder to find. So those ones are going to be a little bit more expensive, but they both give you that really white, tender flesh, that white, tender meat. You could throw crab meat in here. You could throw lobster in here. If you like, we're going to pick crabs later this week. If you were picking crabs and you had some crab meat left over, you could throw that in. Any kind of seafood you want. Hi, Deborah. Yeah. Yes, we are having this for lunch today. I have a couple of hungry girls. I'm here with my girlfriends, guys. I'm not here with my family. One of my girlfriend's birthdays, and we decided to take a group trip to the beach because, let's face it, no one's really been traveling that much recently, and it was nice to kind of get away and catch up. But we're all still working, so everybody is on their laptops in different rooms, and everybody has their earbuds in. Okay. Darlene, you have a deadly allergy to pepper spices. Oh no. Okay. Dehydrated vegetable peppers instead of pepper spices, leaving out the reds. Okay. Yeah, go for that. I've never seen that before, but I will definitely look that. Yeah, currants are definitely my first pick, but I really could not find them. So the golden raisins were a close second. Okay. I'm gonna wait until my seafood is cooked. It only takes a couple of minutes because I've got small bits of seafood, and you don't want to overcook it because, well, seafood gets rubbery if you overcook it. But you have a lot of different choices. If you are using crab or you're using something that's pre-cooked, wait until the end when we add the couscous to add it. Don't add it now, otherwise it'll overcook. Then we're really just reheating it. We're not actually cooking it. Okay. So the next thing to go in are caper berries. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a caper berry before. That's Instagram. Here we go for Facebook and YouTube. So caper berries come from a caper bush, much like capers. Capers, the little small green ones, and I'm taking the stem off here. I just kept one stem on to show you guys. Capers come from the caper bush, and they're actually the flower bud before it bursts. Caper berries are slightly larger, and they are the fruit that comes from a caper bush. I have two cameras going here if you wonder why I'm going back and forth. So this is the fruit off of a caper bush, and the inside of them, I cut one in half, where is it? Has little seeds in it. So it's juicy and it's crunchy, and it adds another element of sophistication and texture. They are brined, so they're a little bit salty. So we have a juicy sweet pop from the raisins. We've got a velvety nutty pop from the pine nuts. And now we have a salty briny pop from the caper berries. And the caper berries are also going to have a little bit of crunch to them. So we're going to add those in, and then we're going to go with a little bit of white wine because, we're on vacation. Why not? The alcohol will burn off, so don't worry about that if you're cooking for kiddos. If you don't drink, just omit it. You don't have to put wine in there, but it does add a little bit more to that level of flavor for your overall stew. I do, the recipe calls for a half a cup, but again, measure with your heart. Next thing to go in is plain tomato sauce, not like a marinara sauce. I want plain. I don't want any spices. You can do anywhere from 1 cup to 2 cups. I'm using the 3 8-ounce cans of jarred sauce. If you wanted a little bit more texture, you could also use diced stewed tomatoes. That's perfectly acceptable too. So I throw those in with the white wine. I'm going to give it a couple of quick stirs and just wait for it to heat up, which will only take 2 to 3 minutes. This dish too is also so nice to make ahead and just reheat. I've even eaten it cold for breakfast. It's kind of coagulates together because the last thing we're going to put in is, I'm just making sure. Sometimes when I get talking, I miss things. So I turned up the heat just a little bit so I can get it going a little bit faster since we're all talking here. So the last thing that goes into it is couscous. So most people think of couscous and they think of the little tiny ones. Couscous is actually a pasta. It's just like a little tiny balled pasta. But it comes in different sizes. And today we're going to be using what's called pearl couscous or Israeli couscous. So it's a much larger ball. And I actually got tri-colored. Hold on, I already cooked them ahead of time. We didn't need to be sitting here on TV watching pasta boil, right? So there we go. So these are green and orange and white, and you're not going to be able to tell that so much after I dump it into the tomato sauce. But they're these nice little balls. You can even get them to be a little bit bigger. So you want to cook them al dente. Yeah. Al dente. You want them to be a little bit chewy. You want them to be a little bit toothy. I drained them, and very rarely do I then, I'm getting a low simmer, a couple bubbles on my sauce here, so I know that it's just hot. I very rarely rinse pasta, only for like pasta salads, because even if it has just the littlest bit of heat, it is going to continue to cook the pasta. And we don't want that. We want it to remain that toothy al dente for the actual stew. So I'm going to throw that in here, and I'm not going to let it sit too long. I just want it to sit until the pasta has 1 to 2 minutes to absorb some of the flavors from the sauce and reheat all the way through. I probably could have gotten away with just 1 can of tomato sauce here too. I've got a pretty soupy dish. And I'm going to let that heat through for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're done. That was it. Lunch is made. You can top it off with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. You could do a sprinkle of Maldon sea salt and get a little bit more crunch and a little bit more salt in there. Notice I didn't add any salt. The tomato sauce itself is a little bit salty, and the brined capers are salty. So do yourself a favor and taste it and allow your diners to put on their own salt. You don't want to over salt something accidentally. So there you go. Italian seafood stew, Mario Batali's Lifeguard Stew. We made this in 15 minutes. So without adding in the boiled pasta, I'm going to wait for this. I'll totally burn myself. And then the roof of my mouth will be burned. The rest of my vacation will be, meh. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. You get different layers of flavor at different times. It's slightly sweet, a little bit smoky. I really taste the Chardonnay. I used an oaky white, like cold Chardonnay, which is going to be perfect to also serve with the dish. And since we're at the beach, it's not like a regular lunch. That's perfectly acceptable because now it's afternoon and it's time to start drinking. So I hope you guys go and make this. Make sure you leave a comment or a rating. I know my internet's going in and out, guys. Sorry, it's not my Wi-Fi. Go and leave a rating on the dish and the recipe, or leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And we won't see you next week. Next week, we're going to be on the road in Charlottesville, going to Vineyards. Couscous, could I choose? Yeah, you could totally use shell pasta. You can use any kind of pasta you want. I'd recommend something that's small, like ditalini or something like that. You don't want anything too big. Like I wouldn't put this, you could use like spaghetti or rigatoni or something. You can use whatever you want. But the Israeli couscous, it's the fact that it's all bite-sized. Like I cut the shrimp into bite-sized pieces. The base scallops are bite-sized pieces. You don't want to have to serve it with a knife. You want to be able to just use nothing but a spoon and be able to eat it on up. So, okay, guys. So next week we won't be around, but we will the week after that, and we'll decide what we're making from my beach kitchen to yours. Have a wonderful Monday. Bye.